to where I left off earlier. I don't know what was happening, but YouTube cut me off right in the middle of my topic. I was talking for like 10 more minutes before I realized that it was frozen. So I'll continue on the remainder of what I was saying. And what I was really talking about is being prepared to function in day to day society. My question was, were you prepared to function in day to day society? Like the transition from being a child to being an adult, were you prepared to function in society? It really depends on how you were raised. Were you raised in a good, happy, positive environment or no? And I guess when I say this, it's because not that I was raised in a terrible environment, but I was not raised in an environment where I was free to express myself. It was a thing where like you could talk about certain things and there was no preparation. Um, Back in the day, like I've said many times before, back in the day, and also even sometimes right now today, a lot of people do not prepare their children for the reality of day to day life, like how much things will cost, teaching your children financial literacy, and preparing them for that life will chew you up and spit you out. And there's a lot of people who will use and abuse you, but you have to set boundaries. I didn't learn any of that growing up. And I just wanted to come on and to, finish the end of my statement in saying that where it cut off because I think this is an important conversation to talk about. Um, every generation I feel probably does the best that they can, but sometimes I don't think all parents do the best that they can. They just feel like, oh, I had it tough and hard, and you just go through it and do what you have to do. Um, why? Why continue in dysfunction when you can teach the next generation how to be better, how to be happier, how to not make decisions that's very toxic or can really ruin your life? Like when you see this and this, run. When somebody doesn't show up for you, if they're only asking for you to help them and they never give you help or support or respect, I think more people need to learn how to respect. Hi, I just saw some comments. Hi, how are you guys doing? I think that more people need to learn to be prepared. Hi, baby gang. Hi, Omar. Hi, Miss Nexie. How are you doing? Welcome. I think more children need to be prepared to function in day to day life. Um, that's really what I was talking about before my first previous live cut off. That people need to be prepared. Children, I don't believe are prepared. I know I wasn't. Like I was saying, I was thrown out in the deep end, and you're expected to survive. You're expected to be happy and to not complain about things, but I do fault the parenting. You know, some people, they did not parent, they did not protect, they did not help and heal and were supportive, positively feed into their children. And it's a lot of parents that were treated their children like they were in a military camp. You know, there was no hugs and kisses. There was no positive support. There was no encouragement to tell children, believe in yourself, love yourself. So, I think that's something very important in this life to train your children to train your children to function. Because if a child is not functioning properly, I believe it's the cause of the parents. Not always, but for the most part, how a person is as an adult is the preparation that the parents or the adults prepared them for. And I think for me, this is a conversation that a lot of people don't like to admit, that I think it took me like over 10 years past the age of 18 before I finally felt like I could function, because my learning curve was so high. I actually had to literally learn everything on my own when I got out there. And yes, I do fault parenting, but I also feel like there's certain things that you need to have conversations. There's some things in life like you need to be preparing your children for. When when someone doesn't show up for you, when someone's a manipulator, run. It's not you. You're not a bad person. Don't let people take advantage of you. I think these are conversations that most people do not pour into their children. They don't have these sort of conversations and say these things like, you don't got to take people's mess. Um, get your education. Be able to be independent. You don't have to depend on anybody. And be careful who you trust, and that you can't trust everybody, especially when it comes to blood relatives. And don't believe everything at face value. Not everything that people are saying is the truth. And the people who hurt you the most are the people that you love the most. And I hate that. I hate that so much, that um, so many people like myself were thrown into the deep end and were expected to function in this life, expected to be okay. And I think that's the reason why there's a lot of people who, even though they may be 18 years and up, they still have never had the emotional intelligence. They've never had the life skills as an adult, because they were not emotionally supported and encouraged and poured into, that they can do anything they want to do. And I think, a parent may not be able to give a lot financially, but I think if that was the only gift that you give a child, teach a child to love themselves and to respect themselves and to not let others run over them. Hi, Lara. How are you doing? I think that's one of the best lessons in this life, that you can ever give to a child, is to teach a child to have self-esteem, um, to let your children see you and your siblings, if you have siblings, lead by example, for them to see, how to, like if there's disagreements, how to talk things through, and setting boundaries, that if you really don't want to do anything, that it's okay. And I do think you should teach your children that you don't have to do everything that people ask or request. Thank you so much, Lara. I think that's something that a lot of people don't do. They live like a fake life. And I used to see it a lot, back in the day. And even I know that it's going on today too. Like, parents pretending with their children, like going to things that they don't want to go to and always complaining about it. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea because you're training your children that the things that you don't want to do, the places you don't want to go, you go and you pretend. I think it's important to teach children to be real and authentic and not fake. That's a very important thing in this life is to teach your children that it's okay if you don't want to do something, it doesn't make you a bad person. And to teach children to not be run over and taken advantage of, and to set boundaries and to tell people no. And it doesn't matter who it is, it could be even your own relatives, it could be, other kids in school, because the time for our youth, the young people, to learn things is during their childhood. When they're going through something, this is when you need to be a good role model, you need to be a good teacher, and talk about things. When I was about your age, something similar like this happened to me and this is what I did, but I want you to get better than I did. So I think this is the best thing that you should do. And I think that that can only happen when there's open communication between a parent and a child. I think that's essential. I think you have to, you must have open communication with your children. I think that, there has to be love and affection there. And this is just my personal opinion, Marlene's opinion, but I think a lot of times when people are adults and they are very antisocial, they don't know how to communicate, and they're very controlling. I think that is all stemmed back to a lot of issues in their childhood when they didn't get attention and when they didn't get affection and love and support. And they're showing it in their adulthood that they need help. And I, for one, knew that for for myself. I knew that I didn't have that affection. I knew I didn't have communication. I definitely did not know how to communicate properly. When I would get upset about something, I would always keep those things inside of myself. I would lie to myself, tell myself that it was me, I was the problem, instead of saying, I wasn't the one that had a temper tantrum or was rude or has been mishandling me. So, those are some of the conversations that I think is important and more adults need to band together and to not say things like, oh, that's just how they are, like it's acceptable. It's important for parents and other adults to let children see that, oh, you see what uncle did? That's why we're not talking to him, because he has this and this problem. And until he learns how to control his anger issues or handle his money properly, we can't deal with him, okay? And we're not going to deal with him, and you shouldn't. Having conversations like that is very important for children to see from a young age that, oh, okay, you don't put up with foolishness, you don't allow it, you know. And I'm tired of hearing people say that's the way somebody is, like that makes it okay, or they've been doing that all their life. That does not make it okay. That's not good enough. So that's one of the things that I honestly just came on to finish the rest of that conversation linked with the first part. But I really just wanted to say to all of my GEMS family that if you went through things growing up in your childhood, which I think every single person has gone through things, just some people aren't brave enough or courageous enough to admit it, get yourself some help, however that looks for you, whether it's spiritual support, whether it's getting a therapist, a psychologist, getting a life coach, a counselor. But if you had some issues and you don't know how to communicate. You have anger issues, or you don't like to talk about things, or you were mad about whatever happened, traumatic things. Have enough courage to work on yourself and don't ruin the next generation. You know, that's what I came on to say. So, thanks for letting me get out the thoughts that were in my head. I just don't think it's right. I saw something today that I just didn't like, and I thought that I would talk to the Gems family about it. You know, when you're an adult, you basically are just a child trapped in an adult's body, and a lot of people do not um, elevate emotionally. They stay in the space where they were emotionally scarred or emotionally abused. And I'm not justifying it and saying it's okay, because it happened to me. And if you don't do something about it, you're going to ruin the next generation, and not just your kids and your relationship that you have with your sibling, but it also is going to affect your romantic relationships. It's going to affect the type of job you do, and it's also going to affect you, whether you're happy or has peace, or you're able to function in this life, or you have meltdowns. And it's going to affect, your health and so many other issues. Until I started to work on myself, I didn't understand how much was tied into my childhood and my past and the things that happened to me that I didn't like. But, I understand that everybody's not like me to be open and to share the things that, they went through. And it is a scary thing to be open and transparent and talk about it. But I share these things to let other people know that, you're not the only person in the world that has been scarred. You're not the only person that has gone through issues. It's just most people don't talk about it. But, you can do something about it. You can improve if you want to. See, that's the thing. I got to a space where I was sick and tired of being sad, being angry, feeling depressed, when I felt I could be happier. I felt that I deserved to have good relationships. I deserved to have a good friend because I thought I was a good friend. So it's really, at the end of the day, how we live our life as an adult is really ultimately up to us. How we if whether or not we have friends, whether or not we are doing um living in our true potential. It's really all up to us, and how much courage we're going to have, and how much we're willing to say, this, and this happened to me, and it wasn't right. It was messed up. But I don't have to continue to blame myself. I don't have to continue to do things that will bring me harm, like eating dysfunctionally, not knowing how to communicate properly, having anger issues, feeling like you got to take all kinds of mess when it comes to who you date or to who you marry, and and etc. You know, your childhood follows you forever. And no matter whether it was a good childhood or a bad childhood, as an adult, you have to make a decision how you want to live for the rest of your adulthood. And even if your adulthood was really messed up, it was screwed up, and people did things to hurt you, I do think that we should do something about it so that you don't hurt other people, because you can. You can ruin people's lives because of our ability to not be honest and to do something to make changes, because people will always say that you can't change. but you can change if you want to. I'm just saying. I can only say it because I made changes. And I'm proud of myself. And I'm proud of every single person that has the courage to say, what hurt me now helps me. I know my past and the pain that I suffered now helps me because I can talk to others. I can, say what I did and how I'm better than the past generation because I had the courage to stand up for myself and to say no more. I deserve better. I deserve to be happy and I love myself. And I just basically came on to say that to all of my GEMS family that you deserve to not only be loved, to be respected, and to love yourself and to forgive yourself and other people. You know, don't continue to, go day to day feeling that you're worthless because of maybe other people didn't value you. It's a very important lesson for you to let yourself forgive them, not because what they did was okay, but because you deserve to be happy and to smile and live your life with purpose. So that's what I came on to say, guys. Hope you guys are having a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks for tuning in as as I say what I wanted to say. It was just on my heart, and I would usually share this on my motivational channel or my Love Marlene 411 channel, but I felt that there was somebody on this particular channel who is not on that one that needed to hear it. So I'm just a messenger sharing the message of self-love, peace, compassion, and that you deserve to have all of those things. You deserve to have respect from others. You deserve to respect yourself. You deserve to set boundaries and and to enforce them. And you deserve to live your life in peace and happiness. And whoever doesn't like it, then that's their problem, not yours. So, yeah, this popped up on my other channel. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Shay. How are you doing? Welcome. Um, Miss Nexie just said, hold on. Sometimes the scars of childhood trauma follows us our entire life. Um, but it is up to us to not allow them to dictate who we become in our adulthood. Yes. Thank you so much. Shay, I had put on one of your videos to reach out to me in Instagram cuz something messed up happened to my other Instagram. So please send me a message on my newer Instagram, and that is life with Marlene underscore YT, because I got to talk to my sister. I miss you. Um, so thanks guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Um, and I just wanted to say to all of you ladies, all of you gentlemen, you're all queens and kings. You deserve to be treated with respect, even if other people don't respect themselves. You have to respect yourself and have the courage to love yourself, to heal, and to stand up for yourself and to say, today is a new day and I deserve to reset. And it's something that I've had to do in my life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Nexie, for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Okay, I will, Shay. Okay, I'm off tonight. I will message you. Thank you so much. Yes, that's so true, Miss Nexie. Mm-hmm. Um, I honestly, I like, I speak it from the bottom of my heart. I know what it feels like to feel like dirt on the ground and for people to run over you and use you. And then I spent years of my life feeling like, I don't know, just invisible, um, feeling unloved. And I think it's one of the worst feelings that you can ever feel in your life, to feel like you're a burden or a problem, or people just treat you like garbage. They only want to be around you when they can take something from you. Yeah, it's horrible. And I just wanted to say to everybody that just because other people do that to you, it doesn't mean you have to keep taking it. You got to cut those people off. Don't let them keep using and abusing you. Don't. You deserve better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And I hate that. I hate. Um, I grew up from the time I was a very little girl, feeling like I was always the ugly duckling. I always felt like I was never accepted. I always. I can remember from being a very little girl. I think from the time I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, I can remember feeling like I was so ugly because of how people made me feel ugly. And I never felt loved, even though I loved the ones that were causing my trauma. But as an adult now, I can say um, that it's them. It's not you. Don't do things to bring yourself down. Don't do things to affect your mental health by thinking that you're unloved, feeling that you're not enough, feeling that you're not special, because you are. Just some people don't know how to love them. They don't know how to love themselves, so they don't know how to love you. They don't know how to appreciate a good thing, so they don't appreciate you. They don't know how to show up for you, so show up for themselves, so they don't know how to show up for you. It's a lot of things that's tied into how people treat us. But just because other people don't love themselves, are rude, disrespectful, ungrateful, unappreciative, controlling, manipulative, gaslighters, all of that stuff, it doesn't mean that we have to take it. It doesn't mean you have to believe it. I feel like this message from the bottom of my heart. I've been through so much in my life, feeling like nothing. And I'm so grateful to be in a space that I can say that I was never nothing. And to anybody who needs to hear this, you were never nothing. You've always been something. You've always been a bright light. You've always been enough. You've always been worthy. Always. Just sometimes people just didn't see your value because they didn't see theirs. So don't let other people make you feel insignificant. Hold your head up high, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let other people use and abuse you. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't stay places that you don't feel respected. You don't feel poured into. You don't feel energized. You don't feel like you're growing. Okay? Because I went through that for far too long, accepting poor treatment, feeling that I had to stay because I was a loyal person, or because I cared about them, or because I felt some type of way. You don't have to stay. Leave places you're not growing. Leave places where you're not healing. Leave places where you're not being empowered. We deserve more. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And I will tap in on the next one. Shout out to all of my mods. Shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you guys so much for your support. Love yourself and have the courage to not only love your life, but to live your life.